Welcome to the show. We got a fucked up episode for everybody here. I hope you guys are ready for the show. I'm your host of Dish Gods, Max, and I'm here with two very lovely gentlemen here. I don't know their names. They're using some code names right now. They're going to introduce themselves, and then we're going to learn their names right now. Please introduce yourselves.
I am Little Bear. I refuse to use my actual name because I have some information today that could possibly get in trouble for revealing.
You heard it here first, folks. And you, sir, please introduce yourself to the lovely people listening at home.
I am Spirit Cobra, and I refuse to use my actual name because of the same reason as Little Bear.
Riveting shit. Riveting stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we got a very good episode for you guys here. Jesse could not make it. He is otherwise tied up, but I figured, you know what? Let me bring two beautiful gentlemen in to fill his spot, and I think it's going to be a lovely time. We have a lot of things to talk about. Really, first and foremost in our minds right now is the election. Election's happening right as we speak. Did you guys happen to vote?
I did not vote.
You did not vote.
I actually did vote.
You did vote?
Yes.
Spirit Cobra voted.
Spirit Cobra coming in hot.
Yeah.
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Hillary, but it's not like the actual option I wanted. But
Okay.
I didn't want Trump in office.
Absolutely. I agree. Were you for Bernie?
Oh, for sure. I was totally for Bernie.
Yeah, me too. But Hillary's the, fifth best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, well, we're not really keeping up with it tonight. We got too much other shit to talk about. But hopefully she's pulling through. Last Spirit Cobra heard Trump was in the lead, right?
Yeah, like an hour ago I heard Trump might be in the lead right now. So.
Okay. Terrifying shit.
Oh, no. Well, if Trump becomes president, we'll have pretty good damn punk rock music coming out of this.
That's
very true.
I think Billy Joe from Green Day said that, right?
No.
I don't know. I hate that fucking band. I just think he said that.
He might have. I don't know. I don't really follow Billy Joe.
Yeah, everybody's saying that nowadays. But no, we've got a very special episode. Last episode, we kind of teased this and came a lot earlier than we expected. We're going to talk about some conspiracy theories. So this episode, my two friends here, they're probably the most bona fide conspiracy theorists I know. They have a million between the two of them, and all of them are as interesting as the last. Really, to get started, something that just happened to us up here in the Pacific Northwest was daylight savings. Now, Little Bear, you were telling me about a conspiracy about this, so why don't you just get it started?
Let me just say this. I'm going to segue into this a little bit. With the election going on, everyone's worried about how conspiracies are going to be different, or how the government's just trying to control everything. We are here. We are your voice when it comes to these kinds of things. With that said, daylight savings time is a sham. Everyone knows this. It was made by time-traveling aliens that are from the future, but they aren't really aliens. They look like aliens. They are people from the future that have traveled back, and now they have become deformed, their skin is discolored, and they look gray. Which is why we have this gray, quote-unquote, idea. And don't give me any of that bullshit about farmers or whatever else you want to talk about, because it's not about farming or whatever else. It's about aliens coming back in time and doing whatever shit they're doing to control our history now, like putting Donald Trump in office.
Okay, so if it is run by aliens and it's not, but farmers perpetuated it, right? Like they got the farming community to say,
no. They started it when farming was more prevalent because it was easier for the society as a whole,
for the common folk to
grasp this idea of, hey, let's do this, and they'd be like, oh, derp, I gotta start my combine an hour earlier, no problem. Like anyone gave an actual fuck.
Plus, you actually realize people who've been abducted or experimented on were mostly farmers. Not because they're out in secluded areas, it's because when the time traveling aliens came back, or time traveling humans so far from the future came back to change their history, they're trying to change their history to better themselves, so they won't look all grotesque and weird and scary.
And the people out in the farming communities, they're top cream of the crop.
Because of because of all the events that will happen and so far in the future that we don't really know.
Well, obviously.
Because farming is important for our society.
Is it?
Like, we need it for our food and.
But Bill Nye posits that GMOs could help eliminate a lot of the need of farming if used properly.
Well, yeah, that's the point of why they came back to start the GMOs.
Okay.
Without GMOs, we would technically starve. Hence why they're so thin and skinny and gray looking, because of the malnutrition and probably radiation.
Time travel radiation.
From all that. So they come back in time to start the GMOs to hopefully change their physique or their lives down to thousands of years from the future they claim to come from.
That's just.
But it's. I got to interject here. It's like Back to the Future rules.
Okay.
So every time they come back and they change something, they're fucking up even more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So it only takes one of their time travelers to come back and completely mess up the timeline for them. We don't know any different because we're living this now as it's unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
But to them, it's a drastic change.
Yeah.
So every time they come back, that's why everyone's like, oh, I saw a saucer. No, I saw a cigar. I saw a box. And it's like, well, they keep coming back and changing shit, and they're fucking up their own present.
Yeah.
But to us, it's just life.
Or even the way they look. Like, times you hear someone say, like, yeah, I was abducted by a tall, blonde, blue-eyed, hot person, and next week I was abducted by a lizard person.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think, now does this fit into Roswell at all? Like, these time-traveling people, they've been deformed by time travel. Could they have been found at Roswell? Are those the gray boys?
Okay, but the Roswell could be the start of the Gray Boys, but for the Roswell is really after World War II.
Oh shit, we're going back.
We're going so back. See, Germany was working on experimental flight, and they were working on the Bell.
Okay.
The Bell was basically early propulsion system for supposedly saucers. After World War II, well, they all supposedly left to Antarctica to still work on their saucers. And around the time of Roswell, they were just basically testing their saucers. So when there was the Roswell crash, it wasn't aliens that they found. They found 4 foot tall, discolored looking children, humanoid children. And what happened was they were just testing their kids that they took from their concentration camps.
Okay.
And they were just testing Jewish kids as an experiment from like going on speeds of barely under light speed.
Okay.
And see what happens if they were to crash a saucer around light speed into the Earth, and what would happen to a person. So they used the kids from the concentration camps. So when they're trying to do that, you have like this machine that's supposed to generate like anti-gravity going God knows what kind of speeds, like Mach 40, hitting the Earth. And these Jewish kids weren't like piloting, they were just there like strapped in. And
they're essentially crash testing.
Right. At the same time, inside the machine was to generate artificial gravity. So you have G-force artificial gravity that wasn't really working. So they're basically microwaving these kids. Hence, with the G-force causing the skin, the bone to expand, and the microwave to heat up. And when they crash, they kind of look like
gray boys,
gray-looking creatures that they didn't really describe what it looked like. Just thought to look like deformed, gray-looking children.
Yeah,
that would explain the enlarged heads, distended bellies, eyes, black eyes.
Because like if you drown a child in the lake for like several days, and
where this is going,
and you pick up the drowned child from the lake, it's very bloated.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Its head doesn't swell up to be
right. But if
the size of a human.
Yeah, but when you have a G-force going like Mach 40, whatever, then
barely under light speed,
then
crashing. Yeah, I
Yes.
get you. So you heard it here first. Apparently, Area 51, they didn't find aliens. They found Holocaust survivors, I guess you could call them. 'Cause
Well,
they escaped the Holocaust,
They
technically.
technically did, but
well, I guess they say
survivors.
not really survivors, because like when after World War II, of course they're gonna still have all those the scientists that remain for Project Paperclip stuck around, and then ones who like, nah, fuck this, I'm still gonna do my experimental work for Germany, left with the core group, and of course they're gonna need their test subjects.
Of course.
Well, after I'm just gonna sorry to interject here. After Roswell and after all that jazz went down, clearly the United States they found the base. They went down and they found, hey, look, there's a Nazi flag here in Antarctica. What the fuck is going on? They couldn't turn up any evidence of an actual base dug up under the surface or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they go? The Nazis went to the moon.
Oh, shit. Alright.
They're on the
Commercial
moon
break.
now.
Just kidding.
The Nazis are on the moon, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever anyone says about the dark side of the moon, there's aliens there.
That was my favorite Transformers movie. So, tread lightly.
Megatron is actually a Nazi.
See, but we've talked about this. I think that would be the best Transformers movie, is if Optimus Prime, the last Transformers movie ended with him flying out into fucking space, right? He needs to land on the fucking moon and fight a bunch of fucking Nazis. Or inverse, what if the first people Optimus Prime ever met, the first human beings from planet Earth, were actually Nazis?
So he assisted them.
And he learns from them, because when he first lands on Earth, he learns from the World Wide Web. Thanks, Michael Bay. But what if he just learned from the people around him? And the first people he meets are these white trash fucking hooligan Nazis. And then, holy shit, Optimus Prime and fucking Bumblebee have fucking goddamn swastikas on their fucking foreheads. And then the Decepticons come to the Earth and they end up being our saviors because, holy shit, there's white supremacist robots fucking running around. It's Donald Trump's fucking wet dream over here.
Right.
And the fucking Decepticons are our saviors.
Well, you have something there because in early 2000s there was a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover where Cobra found Autobots, taught them of the world around them. So you have Optimus Prime with the Cobra symbol on his shoulder. And plus, Cobra is basically comic book Nazi.
Right.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe is America.
Yeah.
Well, and hey, don't forget, Batman was also a Nazi at one point as well.
He's always been a Nazi in my book. Fucking rich bastard. Anyway, I digress.
Whoa, okay.
We won't get into Batman this episode. So Nazis are on the moon.
Nazis they're on the dark side of the moon.
They're on the dark side of the moon. Okay.
Yeah, so they built subterranean bases.
Okay.
Because they known that we would eventually make satellite technology or telescopic technology that's capable of clearly seeing the surface of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you can set up a telescope and put a camera next to it, and yeah, you take a pretty clear picture of the moon's surface. But where they're at, they've been harvesting the hydrogen and everything else from the moon. It's essentially like a hollow Death Star at this point.
Okay.
They've been up there for what? World War II's been over for
70?
72, 73 years now?
Something like that.
My math is horrible, but I'm going to say about 73 years.
Yeah, we're all kind of drunk right now, too, so you're forgiven.
So yeah, they've had close to three-quarters of a century here to burrow into our moon.
Okay.
As far as breeding stock or other types of building materials, that's yet to be answered. But I would imagine by now they would probably look like the Hills Have Eyes and are like completely inbred.
Oh, definitely.
So
Inbred
Inbred
Nazis.
space Nazis.
Now, if that's not a punk rock band name, I don't know what is. So what's the plan? They're on the moon. They're harvesting. They're waiting. What are they waiting for?
they've been waiting to come back.
Okay.
The whole mission at first was to go up there, regroup, because they were hoping that their saucer technology, or the Bell, quote unquote, would have been prepared by now.
Yeah.
So that they could go there, get their technology, their weapons, and come back and just devastate the Allies. Well, we took a fat shit on them way before they could even finish any of that. So now they got scattered groups of like Nazi cells, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, trying to finish this main project. So right now they're kind of shitting in their own hand.
Okay.
They're just waiting for the time after this whole election.
If
come
Donald
around.
Trump wins.
If Donald Trump wins,
or
Hillary, to make their move to where supposedly our country and other countries that we might fight with in a all new war, that they'll come down in their ships as space brother aliens trying to save our Earth as a big rouge. They're just waiting for their time.
See, that's something interesting too, because potentially if the little, Jew boys and girls who got all fucked up in Area 51 got all distorted and disfigured, wouldn't the space Nazis? I mean, they're already super inbred. They probably got like 15 nipples on their faces or some shit. Who's to say that they're not gonna get, even more disfigured from half-assed space travel?
Well, actually, the nipples are actually on their back.
On their backs, okay. For
but-
feeding purposes.
For feeding
Right,
purposes,
yeah.
of course. Because now since they've been inbred so much, they don't have just one child. They actually have litters, like dogs. So that's why they have the 15 nipples on their back, is to feed each child at the same time. It just saves time. It's more efficient.
It's efficient. The Nazis are all about efficiency.
Right? So, and speaking of efficiency, they've worked out those kinks, despite being completely inbred and retarded.
They're scientific geniuses.
Yeah, they're still scientific geniuses.
And the governments of the world know about them. They're just keeping suppressed.
Okay.
And during Project Paperclip, some of those moon Nazis have came to Earth to work in films during the 80s.
Could maybe one of them have come? Oh wait, no, the Elephant Man was done before World War II.
He's one of them.
Okay.
But like all the practical effects of horror movie creatures.
Yoda.
No, that was a puppet. But like other practical movie effects from like other movies from the 80s. If you watch all the classic 80s horror movies, there's
Jurassic
a shitload. Yeah, sure. But what happened was, since the governments of the world know...
See, the old guy from Jurassic Park, he was a Nazi.
Nazi space dinosaurs.
Possibly. But the whole thing I'm trying to tell here is like, those inbred people from the moon came down during the 80s, late 70s and 80s, to work in certain films to try to infiltrate after Project Paperclip, do connections. Okay. Once the governments figured this out, it's why during like films between once CG became more efficient, they stopped using practical effects, and people in makeup were just all CG because they don't want to employ Nazis in movies.
But don't you think that if you walked up looking like 15 kinds of horrible, they would kind of say, that guy is a space Nazi, and if you walked in looking like a normal dude,
because
would be able to tell the difference?
Well, you ever wonder why like mostly Jewish people own Hollywood? And once they figured that out, they stopped employing these people because they were completely
Nazis out.
Yeah, like Hills Have Eyes, the first original thing, not the creature that like bit people's hands off and then mutate. The first when they started mutating into the thing, that was a person, and then they add some practical effects, but in between that practical effects is an actual person that looks just like some weird inbred thing.
What about Silent Hill? That was a practical effects heavy movie. Is Pyramid Head a space Nazi?
No, that was that's when they stopped.
That's when they stopped.
Yes,
okay.
They were going that the game was inspired by the space Nazis.
Okay.
But when it came to the film, that's 2000. They stopped employing these space Nazis, creature effects people during 1996.
Okay.
like the Jewish people in the community of film, like
Spielberg, J.J.
right,
Abrams, all these guys,
they
these
band
guys.
together. They're like, no, we can't do this because this is wrong for our own heritage.
So here's something interesting though, because J.J. Abrams in the last Star Wars movie, he made a very big point in explaining that he was going to be relying heavily on practical effects, and he's Jewish. What does that say?
he's half Jewish.
He's and the other half, space Nazi. Right?
Possibly.
Possibly.
I mean, I would like to ask for his birth certificate, but I'm not in
All
a
right,
position to
J.J.
ask.
Abrams.
Spear
hit-
Cobra's a birther.
Hit him up on Twitter. Everybody follow him. I think he's at Mr. Gun Nuts. I don't really know. I don't follow him on Twitter. Yeah, we want to see his birth certificate. J.J. Abrams, balls in your court. If there are moon Nazis, how come we didn't see them during the moon landing?
We did.
What's up with that? So, hold on. And so technically the space race was null and void. Because the Nazis got there first. So the astronauts and the cosmonauts, they were racing against nothing, right?
But see, Nazi Germany
Mhm.
at the time, technically, I mean, as still being a country, was
And this is on the
defeated,
continent.
you know?
Yeah.
So after that point, it's kind of like you being the school bully, pushing all these kids around.
Of which I was.
Of course.
Mhm.
And then, 4 or 5 kids gang up on you, beat the shit out of you, and then after that, you try to come up and say, like, hey, I did this. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, whatever, shut the fuck up. No one cares.
Okay.
So, like, even if they did do, like, some outrageous, awesome feat,
Yeah.
the whole world's just going to be like, whatever, dude, you're a fucking loser. Like,
Yeah.
no one cares.
Well, I'm just saying, at the time of the original space race, it was such a big deal to get there first. But in actuality, nobody was getting there first. Because you guys also posited that all of the world governments already know about the space Nazis.
Yeah, it's a huge cover-up.
It's
It's a big
huge
cover-up
cover-up.
because even the name not C is showing like
Oh shit, we're digging deep. We're John Cena-ing this motherfucker.
yeah, because it's all there like subliminal.
Okay.
Like
I don't think that's how subliminal messaging works. But okay.
it was in the name not C.
Okay.
Let's just pose this question right now. How far down the rabbit hole are you willing to go right now?
I'm no
Because
listener.
we're gonna go pretty deep,
That's what she said.
and we might go through the looking glass.
Well, my question for you is, are you going to take the red pill or the blue pill?
What happens if you take both?
Gives you diarrhea.
That seems like the better outcome. I'd rather have the shits than wake up in a robot hellscape. But
That's
let's,
very true.
Let's talk moon landing. I mean, a lot of people are curious as to whether or not it's even real. There's a lot of debate on that. What do you guys think?
Huge debate. Well, the first and foremost for me, what about the radiation belt that supposedly surrounds Earth?
Oh,
A lot of
shit,
people
yeah.
say, hey, there's a thick radiation belt that, is like essentially passing through a fucking microwave and would cook any astronaut alive. And even with all the gold shielding or whatever else we have, you couldn't be able to pass through it.
But when the
So-
Nazis went to the moon, I think they all got deformed in the first place. Suspicion
and
of
the-
survivors.
That and the sibling fucking.
Right. So when they left to go to the moon, they definitely want to make sure to preserve their race in their own mind. That they send a lot of pregnant women.
Well, yeah, but let's also assume that they, in case any soldiers might die in battle, because this is at a time before anybody knew it was on the moon, so they probably assumed there would be some kind of creatures there. I'm sure that they sent truckload after truckload of Nazi jism along with the ride, and I'm sure that throwing that through some radiation probably turned that fertile little juice
God
into some
damn,
kind of
just
fucking
imagine
thing.
if those vials broke in the middle of a fucking space flight.
But they tried, but they couldn't. So what they because they had years
Mhm.
of getting point A, point B, and they realized after near the end of the war that you're getting shit on, that they were like, okay, we'll send in our German pregnant women. They're not going to survive the birthing, but babies that they give birth to were mutated because of the radiation. Hence why they look so, like, for example, the first Nazi spaceman you see was Star Wars. That was implied. It's in the Cantina bar.
Okay.
There's this devil-looking creature that's smiling.
Oh shit!
And all they did,
Not
they just put horns on the thing. But the actual face and texture, all Nazi spaceman.
Is that what a basic Nazi spaceman looks like?
One of the, because they all look very different.
Very different because of the different inbreeding and radiation and
Different mutations. Different mutations.
That's somehow awesome and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
But my question still has not been answered. What do you guys think about the moon landing? Real or not?
At the time, not real.
Okay.
But have we been there? I think so.
No, we have been to the moon.
Okay.
We
have
just
been
did
there.
not show the actual footage from the
Yes.
Okay. So
Because at the-
Spielberg did
I
it all
don't think
set.
I don't think we went there when they say we went there.
You think we did it before or after?
After.
After.
I think we went there after. We did it. We showed it just to kind of flex nuts and say, hey, look, we beat the fucking communists again.
Yeah.
Whatever, stroking our own egos. And then, like, 10 years later, we went to the moon.
Definitely.
In
And it's-
secret.
And it's there in the footage. You just look. There's no dust on the fucking rover pad. There's all kinds of little things that they missed. They're bad. And that's one small step for man, and that's one small step for us going towards our break. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back at you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. We are here on week 3, still waiting on an advertiser. Do you guys know of any local small businesses who are looking to invest in a podcast of any sort?
You should have hit up, like, bars.
Yeah, I know a lot of bars who would like to do this podcast. Unfortunately, none of them will have me, mainly because I'm a registered sex offender and all alcoholic places of business. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a tough ride. This is your guys' first episode, and you guys are receiving zilch cash for this. And I have been receiving zilch cash for the last 3 weeks. We had a deal with Nintendo, and that fell through. We got a cease and desist from Apple, and that fell through. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I got bills to pay. I got mouths to feed. And I don't know what I'm going to do. This podcast is my pretty much one and only source of income, and I've got nothing. We had to GoFundMe for a trip to Thailand, and nobody donated. And it wasn't even for the podcast. It was just like a thing we were going to do.
Well, maybe you shouldn't advertise that you're going to play with little boys when you go to Thailand.
That was just part of the trip. It's an experience. It's like when people go on like sex vacations. That's what you
To
do.
Thailand.
To Thailand. You go to Thailand, you meet a lady boy, and you do your thing, and you drink for the rest of your life to forget.
But, just make sure you don't put it up on Snapchat.
I don't do Snapchat. I don't do that stupid shit.
Oh, what? Dude.
I'm too old for that shit.
Too old.
Too old.
No one's ever
Too
fucking
old.
too old for anything.
Dude, Snapchat's like the dumbest shit. I get what it's used for, but I don't see any use in it. I tried it once.
It's
I
for
hated
fun.
it.
It's for fun.
I don't have fun.
You
I don't
see,
have
you
fun.
saying that you don't have fun. You're talking to Little Bear,
Mm-hmm.
a man that calls himself Little Bear, by the way, a bona fide conspiracy nut,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm telling you that you need to fucking loosen up and have some fun.
Yeah.
That says something.
It
That
does say
says
something.
a lot here.
It gleams a lot about my personality in a way that I'm very uncomfortable with having on a recorded format that's put over the internet. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm here. I'm queer, and I'm here to drink beer. So everybody
Which-
can go fuck themselves.
What we're doing right now.
We do. We have some very delicious beer provided by Little Bear here. You know what? Let's do a nice cheers by the microphone. Cheers, gents.
Nostrovia.
Nostrovia. This episode is brought to you by alcoholism. Drink all the time. Drink to forget. Drink to live. And drink during the episode, please.
A little bit in the morning keeps the shakes away.
And a little bit at night keeps your fears at bay. That's what I like to say.
Here we go.
I drink.
That's
to
really
forget.
catchy, actually.
It is.
It is.
I'm gonna get that tattooed. That's my next tattoo. I think I'm gonna right across my chin.
There you go.
You gotta move my
guys
nuts out of the way first.
Oh man, yeah, I got Little Bear's nuts on my chin. You guys heard it here first. You guys can't see it. That's why we do this in audio format, because it's too graphic.
Oh, and now I know where the penis is at now. The nuts. Oh, I get it. Nuts
Got a
on
little bit
chin.
of sex ed for
Penis,
Snake Boy
yeah.
here. So yeah, I guess that's the end of our break. We're gonna stop the podcast for a second, and we'll be right back with some more conspiracies. Thanks for sticking around, ladies and gents. And we're back. Thank you for sticking around, ladies and gents. We had a really good break. We talked about probably our collective favorite song. I think it's touched all our hearts in one way or another. I know it's definitely clogged up my valves and arteries many a time. Friday by the beautiful and talented Rebecca Black, right? That song is the heartbeat of America.
Not only did it touch the hearts of Americans, but it changed
It did.
the course of America.
It did, mostly because of the poeticism in the lyrics. I would say that Patrice Wilson, the main producer and writer of the song, who is also featured in the song as the rapsmith in the back half of the song, I would say that his verse is not only one of the greatest pieces of hip-hop that I've ever heard, and I am well versed in hip-hop, it's one of the greatest written verses in all of history. Shakespeare, Bukowski. I mean, how does it even go? I can't recall.
You're barking up the wrong tree on that one, my friend.
Spear Cobra, can you help us out?
No.
No. He was so touched by the song, just thinking about it makes him emotional.
Yeah, Rebecca Black.
Yeah, you're weeping right now.
Welling up over there.
You have tears. Here, hand him a tissue.
It's frustrating because of the
There's a cobra.
It's frustrating because all the negative backlash of her events and action.
And it was so unfair because it was a beautiful song. People were just jealous.
It's more of a confession
It is a confession.
of the things that happened because of her.
What happened?
Little Bear,
You want me to drop the bomb here?
please drop the bomb.
Take us on a ride.
All right. Well, it all started back in Jesus Christ. I want to say
That far back.
Yeah. Well,
We're going back to 0 BC.
Zero
ladies and
BC.
gents. Rebecca Black and Jesus Christ, the best duet of all fucking time. RB featuring JC coming at you on Sunday. Shit, I'd like to hear that fucking rap verse.
well, that could go somewhere, but let's just come out with it right now. I'm just gonna say it. Rebecca Black killed JFK.
Now that is the most awesome sentence I've ever heard in my fucking life. And this is during a conversation where we said fucking moon space Nazis.
Nazis do live on the moon.
Okay.
They live not on the moon. Well,
dark
I guess it
side
would be
of the moon.
on the moon.
In the
the
moon.
They live in the moon. Rebecca Black is a time-traveling assassin.
Okay. I'm
Her
in love with this
song,
already.
like Spear Cobra said, it's a confession.
Okay.
It's in the lyrics.
In the lyrics, not the beat, but the lyrics
The
themselves.
lyrics themselves.
And there's no hidden lines. It's not line it up and take
It's
the first
not,
letter of every line.
No,
It's
don't play it
sentence
backwards.
for sentence.
Sentence for sentence.
It's a confession. Now,
Like
what-
fucking R.
what are the
Kelly, this is a
lyrics?
confession.
Now, what are the lyrics? What part of the song is a confession? Let's go from the beginning. The song starts off with Rebecca Black singing. 7 a.m. Gotta wake up, right?
Gotta wake
I'm
up.
finding it. I'm finding
Okay.
it again. It's coming. Like, this was basically America's national anthem for 10 years. So it's like riding a bike. It's muscle memory. 7 a.m. Waking up in the morning. Gotta have my bowl. Gotta have cereal. Now, what in that part relates to JFK?
So,
Or are we not there yet? Is this just
no, this is it. So, JFK was known to have a specific breakfast every morning.
Oh shit! Okay. Look.
Eggs, toast, and or French toast. Maybe some granola or oatmeal.
Okay.
But this morning in Texas, he turned down that breakfast for a bowl of cereal.
The day of his assassination.
The day of his assassination.
So he had
a bowl of cereal.
Bowl.
He gotta have a bowl.
Gotta have his bowl. Gotta have cereal. Okay. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do, just for factual accuracy. We are going to find the lyrics to Rebecca Black's Friday, and we're going to do a scholarly analysis of the entire song, or at least the parts of it that are related to JFK's assassination, because
not all of it is.
Not all of it.
Not all of it is
the
a
rap
confession.
verse is the prayer to bring the Dark Lord up from the bowels of hell into everybody. Okay, so I have the lyrics pulled up here, thanks to Google for that. Lots of yas and oohs. Is that relating to anything, or is that just gibberish?
That's just
pop music.
trying to keep the pop
Gibberish.
rhythm
Okay.
going.
So, 7 a.m., waking up in the morning. Gotta be fresh, gotta go downstairs. Anything there?
Nothing there.
Nothing there. Gotta have my bowl, gotta have cereal. We already got that. Seeing everything, the time is going.
JFK was he was actually running late for his motorcade.
Ticking on and on, everybody's rushing.
Everyone's
so he
rushing.
Would be rushing to the motorcade.
Yeah.
Gotta get down to the bus stop.
The bus stop. Now this is a big one.
Okay.
JFK implemented the national bus system for public schools. So her saying that she needs to catch the bus is also another way of saying JFK, as in her target.
Oh, so she's got to catch my bus, and my bus is JFK.
Yes.
I see my friends. In parentheses, my friends.
Her friends, quote unquote, grassy knoll.
Okay.
She sees them.
Okay. Kicking in the front seat.
John kicking.
Oh, shit. Sitting in the back seat.
Sitting in the back seat. JFK sitting in the back seat. John kicking, his CIA undercover operative, sitting in the front seat.
Okay. Gotta make my mind up. Which seat can I take? Now, is this Rebecca maybe asking who she should kill? Maybe she's confused as to who her target is?
Which seat should she take? Meaning, should she take the First Lady? Or should she take the President?
Interesting.
Because is it more heartbreaking for a country to watch their president mourn the loss of a spouse? Or is it more heartbreaking for a country to lose the actual president themselves?
That's true. You could send him into emotional disrepair. Maybe make him make some drastic decisions.
Exactly.
Send his mind into an incorrect state.
And it's a dicey situation with the Soviets at the time.
Now we'll skip the chorus, and because that's the same. So we'll fast forward. 7:45. We're driving on the highway.
On your way.
Cruising so fast, I want time to fly. Fun, think about fun.
Fun. Shooting JFK.
So fun rhymes with gun. You know what it is. I got this, you got this. My friend is by my right.
That is the rifle that she used.
Which was, I assume, discovered to belong to a right-handed shooter.
Yes. Okay. But there wasn't actually a shooter.
Oh.
It was set up on a tripod to mechanically be pulled.
Because not all that future tech.
Yes.
I got this, you got this, now you know it.
She's essentially just telling the audience, I did this, and now you know it.
Okay, I believe that. So now let's get into the chorus, which is the meat of the song, I guess.
It's Friday.
Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Maybe that is the time where things return to a simpler time after JFK's assassination.
Yeah.
And then let's, how about the bridge? Yesterday was Thursday. Today it is Friday. We so excited. We gonna have a ball today.
Because the country is bawling in tears.
Oh, that's true.
We're gonna ball today.
Oh, breaking down walls here. Tomorrow is Saturday, and Sunday comes after. Words. I just realized Rebecca Black is so much better in slam poetry form. Does she have more songs? We should just do a podcast where we just slam poem Rebecca Black's music.
I could be down with that.
Okay.
I would have to preview some of that shit
Well,
first.
something that we do on the show, in
Because
case
I'm
you
not
guys
really
aren't
one for
familiar-
condoning an assassin.
Yeah, well, one thing that we do in the show, in case you guys aren't familiar, is that we plan out our next episodes on the show. Because we don't want to waste time in our real lives working on this. We
Okay.
only work on the show while we do the show. Because my time's too valuable to spend time on this piddly little thing. I got bigger fish to fry. Anyway, back to the
so
song.
like the only thing that you get money from is
Yes.
too big for you to work on.
Exactly. In my day-to-day.
Got it.
So I only, for half an hour a week, I work on the show. While I do the show. Time management. Like, I don't have time to wipe my ass and think about the show. I don't have time to eat breakfast and think about the show. I don't have time to drive to the bank and think about the show. I can only think about the show when I do the show. Because the show is the show. And that's how the show works. But back to this beautiful song, let's get back into probably the most chilling part, what I think is the darkest part, the rap verse. Is there any confessional in there that you remember?
I don't think there is. I think he came in after the fact. She found him.
Oh, okay.
Because technically she's like fucking 120 years old.
Yeah.
But in the body of like a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. How old is she now? I heard she was like 18 or 19 now.
Probably. Do you know she's legal, Spear Cobra?
She's probably in her 22s at this point.
Yeah, I would imagine she's...
In her mid to late 22s?
She's probably legal by now.
Yeah.
But at the time, she had the body of a 14-year-old, but she's 120 or God knows how old.
Mm-hmm.
Time travel.
Time travel. It messes with the body, messes with the mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And who you think hired her? Space Nazis.
So it's all connected. But no.
It's all connected. Like I said, the deeper down the rabbit hole you go, the tunnels start to all come into this one big tunnel.
Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
You're like,
all
who-
comes together.
Yeah, you're like, where this tunnel came from? Who like constructed this tunnel?
Who has a shovel? Who has that much time on their hands to dig? Who digs holes anymore?
Look
We have
no
bulldozers.
further, feller. You found him.
You found
right
him.
here.
So, well, my question is, Patrice Wilson, the main producer of the song Friday, could he possibly be in cahoots with Miss Black?
Only in the sense that he was hired by her.
Oh, okay. Was he aware of the JFK assassination?
Not aware whatsoever.
Okay.
He had no idea, no
He-
affiliation,
He's just trying to break into the music industry.
and unfortunately was hired by a time traveling assassin.
Because otherwise he would have had a very fruitful career.
Because musicians.
Well, he could have, but I mean, he just sucks dick anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen any of his other
Well, here's
work,
something to think about. Like, musicians make the best assassins,
it's true.
especially when they're really famous.
you get prime access to all your targets. You're up close, personal. A lot of the times they want to come up to you, hug you, shake your hand,
Yeah.
do whatever. It's the perfect opportunity.
Knock those Make-A-Wish bitches right in between the eyes, am I right?
Right.
Fuck those sick kids.
Right?
But no, I mean, you said this, and I think it's got a poetic spin. Musicians are the best assassins
Yeah, because like,
of themselves.
of themselves, but really because of what the governments want them to use them for.
Yeah, but like, think about it. Scott Weiland, Lane Staley. These are people who were tortured artists who gave too much of themselves and
I mean, like,
internally combusted because of it.
Kurt Cobain assassinated himself, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kurt Cobain's the best musician assassin.
The musicians that you found dead because they refused to fall in line with actual other pop artists. Because, like, Beyonce, she has 15 kills in her belt. And she's
Ooh, can you name one?
I can't tell you right
Nelson
now.
Mandela.
No, Mandela. Wow, good thing you guys are using code names. Although I haven't used a code name, so maybe I'm gonna be fucking target now.
Yeah. Which one of us here could be a musician?
I don't know. I don't think either of you have any discernible talent. So
Not gonna argue with that one.
yeah. Well, that, I don't know, the Rebecca Black conspiracy is one of my all-time favorites.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off here, but
Good.
if you're going to talk about sick kids, we have another conspiracy here that will tell you exactly why your children are sick in the first place.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's knock off one last conspiracy on this extra special episode, and fill us in, gents. Educate America. What's making our kids sick today?
Spirit Cobra, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yes. Crayons.
Specifically, what brand?
Crayola.
And how long ago did they start doing this?
Since the 40s.
So,
Reason why the 40s? Because during the time of World War II and the scare of Nazis, Nazis, is to make adults more docile and more skeptical to any information they receive. A lot of people are just dumb enough to believe a lot of nonsense.
Like anybody who's listening to this podcast right now.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
listeners out there, if you're hearing this,
You're stupid.
fuck you, you're stupid.
Give us money. Give us cash.
See, what happened is there's a mind control substance in crayons that kids use a lot.
But it's not just in crayons. It's in their finger paint, watercolors, markers,
Anything that might come in physical contact with.
especially scratch and sniff. Or do you remember those really scented markers? The ones that smell like cinnamon and cherry and lemon.
Never got the point of those.
The point was that you huffed the fuck out of those pens because they put that chemical directly into the ink.
And they got smarter with those when the same people who made the smelly markers made like the best tasting chapstick.
And
That's like the
tasting
newest
markers.
line of like control substance.
And it wasn't always just in markers, watercolors. They would put it in glue. Pretty much anything that they knew a school child would come into physical contact with in some way, shape, or form.
Paper?
Not paper.
Because that couldn't carry the chemical, correct?
But construction
Yeah,
paper.
It could, but the problem is that paper is so widely used by so many other
Hard to
adults and
niche
mediums
it
and
down
whatever.
into that.
So you gotta taper it down to what is your specific target audience here?
Okay.
Young children. What do they use the most in school? Paints, markers, crayons, condoms, using them as balloons, putting them over their heads.
But not all condoms. Usually edible condoms stuff you
And
see.
Magnum.
Trojan minis.
Yes.
Trojan Minis. That was my favorite after-school special.
Yes.
But see, this is where they messed up, and they didn't realize what was going on. They didn't realize the effect of the chemical. They didn't study it long enough.
Okay.
They were essentially using 4 generations of American children as guinea pigs. So this chemical, yeah, it kind of made you a little more docile because you see through the 50s, 60s, not so much the 60s. Well, yeah, 60s. Up until the late 60s. You see people, school children, were really apt to follow the rules, fall in line, and then all of a sudden, you get the summer of love, the revolution going on, but yet you still had people falling in line. That was kind of a fringe movement in a sense. I mean, it was wide, it was countrywide. Don't get me wrong, it was a massive movement, but at the same time, relative to everything else going on, when you think about it and actually put it into perspective, it wasn't that big of a movement.
That's true.
You know, countrywide, not that big of a movement. Yeah, you know, everyone glorifies California. Fuck California, by the way. Fucking resource-sucking shithole. But I digress.
It wasn't as effective as they wanted to be because the kids who have used these substances, crayons, paints, all that, were very docile. But their offspring were immune to it. So
Not only immune, but they had rebounding effects.
And this is kind of
So now we're talking about, say, you know, your older brother or your, you know, nephew or cousin, or not nephew, he would be younger, but your cousin or whatever. So anyone born in the early 80s to mid 90s, now you see a rebound effect. Instead of being docile and more apt to listen to your teacher and say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
they question and they
Now
rebellious.
everyone's questioning everything. Everyone's wondering why. It's almost like human intuition came back, but with a fucking vengeance. And now, instead of trying to nurture this and say, yeah, it's no problem, I will answer your questions, they turn around and Crayola, which is also, people don't know a lot, but they're also founding members and founding partners with Bayer and AstraZeneca and other pharmaceutical giants here. They manufacture ADHD medicines, quote unquote medicines, which is just essentially pharmaceutical grade methamphetamine. So now we have a generation of toddlers hooked on methamphetamines because your parents and grandparents thought it would be an awesome idea to play with finger paint when they were in school. We are paying the price for your parents making a fucking macaroni sculpture.
Yeah, hear that, Dad? Fuck you.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, fuck you, Dad. You got anything you want to say to your dad?
Fucking
Spear Cobra?
get your daddy issues out.
Yeah, come on. This is the place to do it. If not here, where?
Actually, my dad got rid of all my crayons
Good
and
man.
markers.
See,
Smart
Dad, you could have been better, but you weren't.
Spear Cobra's dad knew it was up before anyone knew it was up.
Before even Little Bear. And that's saying something.
That is.
So basically you're saying that Crayola, through trying to create a legion of drones, instead backfired and created ADHD, basically.
Yes.
Essentially, but when you follow the line of people, follow it all the way back, like I said.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yep. Go down the rabbit hole here. They are hooked in with the pharmaceutical company to make the ADHD medicine, methamphetamine, to make that, to sell it to the general public. So now it's like they're funding their own, they're making shit to clean up shit. You know, it's like they're making jobs for themselves, essentially. So they say, oh, fuck, we made a problem. Well, here's a cure for that problem. And that that cure has problems. So here's a cure for those fucking problems.
Which is basically the pharmaceutical industry in a nutshell.
But when you follow the line all the way back to when they first came out and they put this chemical out in the market, without telling the general public, by the way, before that, who was on the board? You know who was on the board? After World War II, when the Nazi Party broke up. Nope.
No.
She unfortunately was not there. But the Nazi Party broke up, and a few of them escaped, changed their names, and now we have Nazi Party members working on the board at Crayola during the early 1950s. They came over and brought their eugenics projects over to the United States, and that's where we got these chemicals to make these projects, and then all the way up fucking 70 years later, we're dealing with an ADHD epidemic.
Fuck. That's some heavy shit.
That just fucking blow your mind? That just blow the hatch off your fucking head?
Yeah, my head's in pieces. How are you doing, Spear Cobra?
I have a headache.
He has a headache. Well, drink more beer and you'll feel better. And, I think on that incredibly resounding note, I think we're going to call it an episode. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know this one was twice as long as we usually are, but we just had so much content and we wanted to give it all to you in one nice little push. So thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you, Spear Cobra.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show, Little Bear. Thank you guys. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again sometime. Hopefully Jesse can make it back from whatever Arctic Circle he's hibernating in right now, and we can get him on next week. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. I've been your host, Max. Spear Cobra, Little Bear signing off.
Little Bear signing off.
Spirit Cobra out.
See you guys next time.